there, my name's Lucy. Welcome to TLC Quick Art. Today I'm going to show you how to make a badge or a patch using simple stenciling techniques and fabric paint, like this. We're going to start by making the stencil. So what we need is a piece of paper to do our design on, pencil or a pen to draw it with, some acetate or OHP paper, scissors, scalpel or a craft knife, and some sellotape. First thing we do is draw the design. The design that I'm going to show you today is going to be for a 2-colour print. So the easiest thing to do is to start by sticking down your piece of paper so it's not going to move around and get annoying. I'm going to map out my design on this piece of paper, thinking about where I'm going to place the 2 colours. So I'll colour in the bit that will be the second colour. So when it comes to cutting out the stencil, I know where it's supposed to go. So in this design, I know the black will be one colour and what's in the white area will be the other colour. Now I also want a banner, so I'm just going to draw that out here. And then I'm going to print the word demon over that. Starting from the middle, working out, easiest way to do it. Okay, so this is going to be a 2-colour design. It means I'm going to use 2 stencils. I'm going to use the same paper for both stencils so I can either make a duplicate of this design, trace it off, or photocopy it. Pick up my piece of acetate here, just cut it to a good size, place that over the design, and I'm going to cut my first stencil. So I can choose which colour that I'm going to do first, and on this occasion I'm going to start with the inside. So I'm just carefully cutting it out. This process can take a while, but it's good to take your time with it. I'm using a cutting mat, so I'm not hurting any table surfaces or anything. When you're cutting the stencils, be aware if there's a shape in the middle of it or anything that you actually need to have a tab. You can see that I'm actually cutting the paper underneath. That's why I need to cut or copy the design, so you can use a new one for each stencil you cut. Okay, so you just continue in that manner and then you come to a result like this. Do the second layer and then you can see when you put them together you've got the design that you drew out to begin with. Next step in this process is to put the ink through the stencils. I use textile ink because I want to be able to wash these. But this process is transferable using other sorts of mediums like acrylic paint, for instance. So there's 3 ways that I'm going to show you how to do it. One is using an open silk screen, and we'll be using squeegees for that. You can also get spray paint, or I have a textile version spray. The other way that we can do it is just literally using a sponge and passing the ink through the stencil. Depending on the size of your artwork, you could even just use a soft spatula. The first way is by using a silk screen. What we need for that is stencils, which we're going to put down back to front. So if you've got text, you can't read it. It's the wrong way around. And then we're going to get some newspaper or scrap paper like the yellow pages, and I'm just going to use it in between them just so when we're printing one we're not accidentally printing the other. Don't need excessive amounts of tape, just enough to keep it sturdy. What I'm also going to do is just put more paper around the outside of it to avoid any little accidents. So it's just to ensure that the only bit that actually gets printed is the design. So it's just a way of keeping things neat and tidy to ensure the best results. Next step is to get the fabric that we are going to print on. Variations could be printing onto a pattern fabric, floral, or even just a plain coloured fabric might be a nice idea. I have chosen to use this light coloured calico. Just start with a flat piece of cloth. It also pays to have a towel handy and some more newspaper just to keep everything tidy. Grab the screen. So the colour that we want to be printing first will be either the colour that goes behind or the lightest colour. So in this instance, I'm going to print the background, which is the banner. I think I might use a light purple textile ink that I mixed earlier. So what I just want to do is apply a small amount of that to cover it. And it pays to choose a good size squeegee and just run it through the screen. Like that. Lift it up, and then we have it. First layer. Next step is to put some newspaper or spare paper over the stencil we just used, and we're going to quickly dry that before we print the next colour. That just needs to be dry enough for you to touch it, and then place the second layer down, looking through the screen so I can see where it fits best, and I might try printing red. Bearing in mind that the colour over the top should be darker than the one on the bottom so you can see it. And again, pushing it through. Carefully pull it off, and there we have it. Awesome, looks fantastic. Don't forget to go and clean the screen before the paint dries once you're finished. If you don't have a screen, another way that you can use the stencil is by using a sponge. Make sure the edge is long enough. You can see the result here is a little looser than the first one, but you can still make the results crisper if that's your desired feel. The other method is using a spray bottle. So I have this spray bottle that has textile ink in it, but you can just use a regular spray can. Awesome. This one I'm heat setting because it's a textile ink. So the next thing I would do is turn it over, and with the iron, just carefully, a centimetre within that, iron the edges in. It's easy sometimes to, if it's going to be a square, use a set square, or you can cut yourself a template to draw around. If you can get your hands on some different materials to decorate them too, is always quite cool. I've got a whole range of embroidery threads here. They're nice and thick and bright, add just that much more interest, and cottons and different coloured wools. You tend to be able to pick them up at op shops and things. Really cheap, so they're always good things to have on hand. This one I'm using a back stitch, and I'm going to finish that one off later, but I'm going to write the demon in there. Might even do a little bit of stitching in the DIY part. On this one I've started appliquing coloured felt letters on, so again this one I'm just going around making X-shaped stitches. Once you've finished decorating your patch, one good way of attaching it to the fabric that you want to put it on is by way of blanket stitch. The way you work blanket stitch is from the left hand side out to the right with the wool behind it, and you just put it through carefully. Other ways that you can do it is simple running stitch or a tacking stitch. Goes that way. So now you've got that technique, and you can just explore all the possibilities with it. Think of all the different ways that you can use these patches. Put it on anything you've made. Anything you might wear, bags, make them into a brooch for instance. Just have lots of fun with it. Great, cool, thanks, see you next time.